America is getting softer and weaker, and especially through this recession. But people are very, very soft. You know how the cycle goes. They you know where I'm going with this. The strong people create good times. Good times create weak people. Weak people create hard times. Hard time. You know, and the cycle continues. We are now in that soft person, hard times situation. And when that happens, because we have so many luxuries as Americans, you end up becoming soft, complacent, lazy, ignorant. And we have to find things to worry about. We don't live in a country where there's civil unrest, people living in tents. Well, there are homeless people in California, but for the most part, most people live quite well here. Even the poorer people, they have luxuries that in some other countries it'd be considered only the wealthy would have such a thing. So because Americans have things so easy, people have to naturally find something to complain about. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Is I think to a large degree, transgenderism on a deeper level, I think is a human being's inability to cope with reality and persevere through challenge. And I think it's easier for them if maybe they were bullied in school as a guy, or they looked more feminine, they didn't have facial hair, they were smaller bodied, and people called them, and it sounds very, obviously to anyone transgender listening to this, or anyone that's very pro-transgender, they'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're totally ignorant. But this is just my perception of it. I feel that, and of course you may have, I saw this documentary where there was an MMA fighter who was a cross-dresser. So yeah, you have your exceptions, or weird exceptions. But for the most part, there's usually a very readable understanding as to why most people, change gender, so to speak. And I think it's much less common in countries where hardship is more prominent, where fighting for your survival is more prominent. I'm sure even in the days of Vikings, there might have been some people who wanted to, look like women or look like men or dress like the other gender. For the most part, when things are difficult, you go to Russia. Do you have some transgender in Russia? Yeah, you probably have a few. Do you have a lot of them? Probably not, because it's a culture where men are men and women are women.
Yeah, Matt Walsh just put out his documentary, What is a Woman?
I love that, dude. Oh my God.
So the scene where he interviewed the African tribe and their incredulous reaction to his questions about transgenderism kind of tells you everything you need to know. But I was just listening to a podcast and they were talking about.
I didn't see this. They just kind of freaked out. They're
just like, they just burst out like they thought he was joking.
Yeah,
like they're like, a man thinks he's a woman. They're like, no, that doesn't happen around here.
Which is not. People tell you naturally and genetically, this is a very common thing that people have been dealing with, throughout history. But somehow, in different cultures, they have no idea what we're talking about when we say these things.
I do think there's an inclination. I think all these things. There's always been gay people. There's always been lesbian people. This isn't some new age concept. The difference is that now it's much more widely accepted. I do think gay and lesbian is very different, though. I still think it's some level of a disorder, but I also believe, even though I'm not particularly religious, I do believe that God put people with these mindsets and challenges in the world for a reason. And that's why I respect them, because at the end of the day, they're human. But I also acknowledge that it's not a normal thing, because at the end of the day, men and women are put on this earth for a reason, right? We're meant to procreate. We're meant to continue our lineage, and a human that is incapable of that to a large degree isn't really serving their life's purpose. Now, obviously, people listening to this might freak out, and they can if they want to. If you don't want to have kids, go ahead and don't have kids. But if most of the world shared your sentiment, we would have no humans left. We would, and we're already, I think, human population is going to start to decline tremendously, because it's more and more prevalent where marriages are happening much later, or if at all. The birth rates have dropped significantly. So the more that transgenderism becomes a thing, we're going to see less and less humans, so this is just, we're going, in certain respects, we're going forward in many ways as a race. We're also going backwards in certain respects, I think.